Welcome to another episode of Dinner Starts Here, although this is a little bit different because we're not actually making anything that's going to be dinner, Mika.
No, it's not.
Your family farm is actually a flower farm.
Correct.
What flowers are we growing here?
Well, we mostly grow tulips. So, and then also spring bulbs such as hyacinths, daffodils, and iris as well.
All things, but tulips is the big business.
Yes,
That's
correct.
what we're going to see today here on the family greenhouse because it's pretty much all done in greenhouse too.
Yes.
And you're growing, you told me 40 million tulips you're going to grow in a year?
Yeah, that's the goal.
That's an incredible number. How about we go inside the greenhouse?
Sounds good. I'll show you around.
Thanks, Mika. Well, Mika, we're in the greenhouse growing. These obviously don't look like real bright tulips. What stage of growing are we at here?
So these have been coming in this morning already. So this is when we have had them in the cooler for about 18 weeks. And then right now we're putting them on the table, and then they'll just stay here until about 2 to 3 weeks. They'll be ready to pick, and then we'll ship them off to the customer.
So 2 to 3 weeks from here until we get into, and we'll go into the packing spot, but where you're picking and packing.
Yes, correct.
Now, you said they've been in the cooler for quite a while. Were they just bulbs in the cooler?
Yes, we import the bulbs from either the southern hemisphere countries, or we import them from Holland. When they're at a certain stage, the bulb, then we plant them into crates, about 100 to 105 bulbs in one crate. And then they go in the cooler for about 18 weeks. Mm-hmm. So they start about 9 degrees, and then we slowly put them to about half a point.
Oh, really? And that's why these flowers must think it's spring.
Yes.
Because that's why they're popping up.
Yeah. So weekly we look, we check the coolers to make sure what the stage of the bulb is in, to make sure that the soil is wet enough, that they are growing in the cooler, and then we adjust the temperature from that. So sometimes they're at about 0 degrees, sometimes at -1, and sometimes at one degree, depending on what we need them to do.
What you need them, and is that partly? Can you, basically control when they do come up based on your kind of customer demand?
Yeah, so we have early flowering varieties, so those are the ones that we use in January, and we also have late varieties that usually flower better in May. So depending on the variety, that's what we do, and then we can also mimic when we want them to flower. So sometimes they'll have 17 weeks of cooling period, but sometimes they might have 20 weeks of cooling period.
Mm-hmm. And then, so we've got this stage here coming just out of the cooler, thinking it's spring, to this stage beside you, which, I mean, I don't know, can we see any flowers? They're barely there.
And this is, this tulip is called Saigon.
Saigon. Now, how long did it take from this side to this side?
About 11 days.
11 days, they've come this fast.
Yes. And this greenhouse is only at 16 degrees.
Now, why? Because I've been to a few greenhouses and they're quite warm. Why is a tulip greenhouse cooler?
Because a tulip is a spring flower, so they do better in colder climates. And we want them to stretch so that the customer has a lot of length on their tulips, so they can put them in a nice tall vase if they want to.
Oh, nice. So then, I mean, as you said, this one, we saw a couple that were just barely poking out. Yeah. How long before you start picking from here?
This will be a couple of days, and then
of days, and there will be to the stage that we'll go see in a little bit, and that's pretty incredible. Yeah. Now, you've also got kind of a I don't know if you call it a side business or a second line or something, but above you are gorgeous flowers. Yeah. All these hanging baskets. What's with them?
It's just an extra crop that we do. We specialize in spring bulbs, but at the end of May, my husband and his brother like to do something else, so they sell hanging baskets.
Now, Mika, we're to a different part of the greenhouse where we've got, tulips that are showing pretty nice bulbs here, if I can get a couple in the shot. How close are these to being picked now for you?
So these have been already picked once, so we have to pick them one more time to get the other ones. So we usually pick them once or 3 times, like between 1 to 3 times the crates, to make sure that we get all the flowers at their correct stage of flowering. because you can't pick them too tight, then they won't flower. And if you pick them too late, then you won't have a great lifetime of your flowers at the home.
Yeah, you don't want them to flower here.
Yeah.
You want them to flower, and that's basically why you want them to flower when I take them home, not here in the greenhouse.
Correct.
Yeah. So now, I mean, they're in here. We're not too far from the packing line, which is just down there. How do you pick these, and how do they get packed away?
So we pick them by hand. So we just pull them out. We have a nice mixture of sand and soil in these, so they're easy to pick out. And then they get put on a belt. And then we have 2 machines that will actually automatically look at the size and the coloring and the openness and the length of the flower to see what kind of bunches they are going to become.
So you're going to match that. That machine's basically going to match tall ones with tall ones, short ones with short ones,
Correct.
all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a neat thing. Now, how that packing machine, how many can they do?
They can do up to 16,000 stems an hour, and that's when we really have to push hard. But they can go up. We average about 12,000 an hour.
Wow, that's moving a lot of tulips in a short amount of time. And you're running 24 hours a day this time of year?
Yeah, this time of year we do 24/7 because we just can't keep up during the day. So
where do these tulips go? Where can people find tulips from your place?
so we sell them in Canada and also in the States. We have like grocery stores that buy them. We have wholesalers that buy them, and we have florists that buy them as well. There's lots of people that will buy from us, and also in the States there's lots of grocery stores that will buy them.
Oh, isn't that something? So really, I can go to the grocery store on my way home tonight, pick up tulips, and chances are I'm getting them from your family farm, which happens to be a tulip farm.
That's correct.
Very cool. Well, thanks for the tour today, Mika.
Yeah, no problem.